Okay. Yes.
A semantics question. The word burdensome, does that include financial?
Yes, it can. Okay, one factor. Now, I'm not saying that it's the only factor that's relevant, but you may take it into account. But think of the benefits in Burton's principle, something like a cost-benefit analysis. I think that's a good analogy. You look at the cost of something, you look at the benefits, you look at whether the costs are greater than the benefits, or the benefits greater than the costs. But in each category, you're going to have a number of factors you take into account. Okay. Okay.
Janine?
Yes.
If I could just make a comment, I think it's really important that you understand, and Jane will correct me if I'm saying anything wrong. It's important that you're making the cost-benefit decision for your surrogate, not the doctor or the hospital. They're going to look at it differently, number of beds and all of that. So these are decisions you want to take on yourself.
Right. Yes. Okay. And again, it's not the intent that the healthcare providers make these decisions. The intent is that you make them, or your proxy makes them in line with your wishes. Right. Okay. Now, I mentioned this before. Why bother to execute an advance directive? Well, it can be informative to your family and healthcare providers about what you do and don't want. They can help to resolve conflicts without those conflicts going to court. Now, in terms of my experience with ethics consultation and dealing with these cases, one of the worst scenarios to deal with is family conflict. Especially if you've dealt with a family where the kids have been feuding for years. Okay. When mama is dying, the conflicts that already exist are just going to play out again in terms of decision making for mother. But if you have someone designated as your durable power of attorney for healthcare, your legally designated proxy, that person legally has the right to make the final decision, and that can resolve the conflict. Further, according to Iowa law, there is a presumption in favor of what your designated proxy says. So if anybody else wants to take issue with the decision of your proxy, legally the burden is on them to show that the proxy is not acting according to your wishes. And then, as I mentioned before, even more important than the paper document is to have the conversation with your family. Have the conversation with your family. Yes?
Can't the proxy just be fired?
In what sense?
Like if they're not doing what you want, or they're not making the decision?
Oh, yeah, well, you can certainly change who is your proxy at any time. But again, the documents go into effect when you're incapacitated to make the decision. So you're probably not competent at that time.
Right, so you're saying that someone else that does not agree that you're making the correct proxy decisions, then they have to battle that.
Okay, they have to prove that your proxy is not acting in accordance with your wishes.
Okay.
Yes, you had a question.
From our first discussion, Kate and I came up with the same thing. It's like how to have that conversation with your adult child. And I just had this vision of us being done with Thanksgiving dinner and me saying, okay, kids, guess what we're going to chat about? Have you had to deal with that? I mean, I know that's a family thing, but how do you start that conversation?
Okay. For example, churches will have these kinds of programs. Now, I know your ideal for this was to have both parents and their adult children come. So these kinds of programs could represent an opportunity to start the conversation. Okay. So that might be one way to get into it rather than after Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah. In fact, that's the next step here. Okay. I wanted to allow some time for you at your tables to discuss advance directives. Do you think you would want to execute a living will, a durable power of attorney for health care? What instructions do you think you would want to give? And in discussing all of that, do you have any questions about the form or the process? So again, I invite you to spend a few minutes discussing these questions or anything related that comes to your mind.